All right, guys, welcome to Crazy Pinfall Podcast. There is so much shenanigans going around, so much. So we're gonna start it up because one of our guests is a little busy.
I booted him off. He tried to say, "No, I'm the leader of the OC." Yeah, well, guess what? Guess who's not on right now, and guess who is? That's right. The Ace is Wild, baby. The champ is here.
I like getting cut off in my intro. Thank you. Anyways, literally, we've got everybody back again. You know, there is no popcorn this time.
Maybe.
But there's a lot of stuff going on. We're going to talk about the fate of the show after the huge announcement today.
We're taking down NXT. We're taking down NXT.
I can't. I don't have that money. Between that, we'll talk about what's going to go on with the show. Hey,
hello.
I'm going to talk about NXT with everything else that's going on in wrestling and stuff, and we'll let these two hound dogs go after each other for a little bit. But yeah, we are live on all platforms: Facebook, the Tube, and Twitch. If you're not like, comment, and subscribe, leave and tap that like button. That goes a long way with that YouTube algorithm. So why don't we get it started? So what did you guys think of NXT this week?
I didn't get a chance to watch it. I don't even remember what happened on NXT last week. There's been so much that's happened since then. I don't even remember.
Oh, it was Karen Cross beat up Lorcan. Like that was the main event, I think.
Oh, that's right. Yeah. And then and Karrion and Balor are teaming up. What, tomorrow night?
I'm not sure.
They teamed up?
They teamed up the week before.
Yeah.
Lacey Ryan and Io Shirai lost to Raquel Gonzalez and Dakota Kai. And Raquel Gonzalez had Lacey Ryan her finishing move, and she booted Io Shirai off the apron. Then she gave her the finishing move to Lacey Ryan. That's how they won. And she dominated Io Shirai after. What else? There's that gauntlet match they're gonna have for the number one contender to face Johnny Gargano.
Is going to be interesting.
Shawn Michaels came out with the ladder. Just for the the Cruiserweight title match.
And the thing with that is very symbolism a little bit.
Yeah.
Sorry, I'm a little off kilter. The thing about with Michaels pushing that ladder between Escobar and Dunn or whatever the hell you want to call him.
Devlin.
Yeah. He is kind of like interesting because that's literally one of those things. It's like you pushes the past into the present. Because that's the same way with Razor and him, like how they did that.
Mm-hmm.
So I mean, let's see how that goes and see how it progresses. But what do you guys think of Michaels actually kind of passing the baton to the ladder match between Devlin and Escobar?
I don't think Devlin deserves that.
Yeah. I think Escobar's going to win.
I mean, it makes sense. Like, you've got two champions.
Why can't they have both titles on both brands, UK and America?
Because they have 1 million titles already, and so having two cruiserweight champions is kind of stupid. I don't know.
Yeah, it's like.
Well, I mean, it makes sense why they did it before because Devlin wasn't able to travel. But yeah, this is definitely
they should have stripped him of it.
Oh, I know. Okay.
I mean,
all things considered, yeah.
But we saw they that since Devlin didn't get let go, because if he'd gotten let go, obviously they would have done that. I will just say this: that is how WWE should be using their legends. Sean comes in, he doesn't say a word, he just reaches under the ring, grabs the ladder, slides it in between the two of them perfectly, and then just gives them a little nod and walks off. He's not there to put himself over or anything because he's like, I'm Shawn Michaels. I don't need to put myself over.
You gotta like how Anakin just emphasized the word perfect. Like
perfectly. After seeing, how Goldberg has been used and other legends in the business and how they don't how how they don't always either use them in a way that's helping the younger talent, or just having them pop up for a second and then that's that, and it's kind of a waste. This was a much better way to do it. And I'll say this, too. I definitely think Escobar is going to take the title. I do think, from what I've heard, there is still some heat on Devlin for everything, and this is a perfect way to get the title off him. My only disappointment is that there was when it was first announced, the NXT Twitter was going, oh, who's the real cruiserweight champion? And on Twitter, it was like there was a lot of people going, well, Devlin's done all this, but on Instagram, it was pretty much all for a Devlin, and nobody even like acknowledging, hey, he's real unproblematic. So clearly, either WWE has done a good job of not having that news about Devlin spread, or there's people that just don't care.
I think at this point, it's regardless what has happened and has happened with Devlin in the past. It's more about the competition at this point. I figured that would be the only thing that would matter, because, we gotta, sometimes it's hard to do, but we have to look past people's pasts in order to rectify the future. And if they are giving Escobar and taking the title off Devlin, the better question is, considering you guys don't watch NXT UK, how is the ramifications of Devlin not having this title is going to affect the NXT UK product, considering they're titling a huge match on the NXT UK for that title?
Well, I think the not taking the title off of Devlin, I think you bring up the accusations of stuff, and I know he still has a lot of heat on that, and to me, that as he should. But I look at that and go, for a long time, he couldn't compete for that title because the brand itself that he was on was shut down, travel restrictions, all that stuff. If you were to say, look, we're taking the title off of him because of all this stuff, if all of the accusations prove false, then you go, yeah, he got it taken away. Here's a rematch, and it's an easy fix. But I look at it and also go, you took the tag titles off of and I know this doesn't play very well now because of other accusations, but you took the tag titles off of Riddle and Dunn because of the overseas thing of can't get people over. And I get it. It's a tag team. It's half the team. The dynamic isn't exactly the same. And that is how we got Timothy Thatcher, by like freebirding it with a team that didn't exist in the first place. So it was weird, but like, to me, taking the title off of him would have made more sense. The only thing that makes me nervous is he held on to that title for all that time. And yes, you gave Escobar the title in kind of the filler spot, but why do you keep it on him for all this time, even beyond, if you're going to then just take it off of him here at the unification? And I hope they do take it off of him. I hope that it is Escobar that retains. And then he's had that belt for a long time too. Like there's been a few times where I thought a couple months ago, Swerve should have taken it off of him. There's been a few times where he's had that title for a long time too. So I'll be interested in seeing the match. I really hope that they're not tone deaf enough to go, yeah, here, Devlin, you take it. Because no.
What do you think, John?
Oh, I agree with Ray. I mean, but here's the thing. The only thing with Devlin is like they just put new titles in NXT with the tag title. So are they going to shift this thing over to the UK for a while and give Escobar a bigger push? Because they've been teasing him as main event with the cross stuff. So as much as Devlin doesn't deserve it, need it, I'm okay with him never touching a belt again. Maybe they ship it off to NXT UK for a while, because you're seeing the travel restrictions open back up anyway. So maybe he does some stuff on 205 Live and they go from there. But yeah, Escobar. And then to Ray's point about, him not defending it at all this whole year. I mean, Escobar's been putting out bangers. So if anybody deserves to keep it, Escobar's been putting in that work rate matches like crazy. So I say keep it on Escobar and let him run with it until there's somebody. I would have went with Swerve. I honestly thought Swerve was going to win it, like you said. So, but I'd keep it with Escobar.
And I mean, Escobar was going after heavyweight guys, like going after Cross, and like that's a big deal.
I was gonna say something about Escobar. I was gonna say Escobar. I think it's ready for the next level. I think he's past the cruiserweight title picture. I think it's ready to go into the. I don't know about heavyweights, but maybe North American title picture candidate. He's too good for the cruiserweight title division right now.
And I hate that that's the narrative on that belt because I love the cruiserweight stuff, but it's not booked very well because they don't care about smaller guys. And to Anakin, to your point about like
Escobar's not a small guy too for cruiserweight division. He's pretty,
and yeah, and
this is going to be a point where I'm going to take this and say this. They're going to give it to Devlin. Everybody's going to be like, well, why is that, Patrick? Why is that throwback? Yes, I used the SpongeBob term. That is my real first name. Anyways, the people are going to be like, why? Why are you going to say this? Well, how many titles does the UK brand have? They only have maybe 3. They have the tag titles. They have, Walter has the NXT UK title, and Kylie Ray has the women's title. They need another title to float around.
Do they?
Let me.
Sure.
I'll mute you all before I finish.
It's WWE.
I'm not in the best mood right now.
He's wielding.
This title needs to be in the UK for the short term, because if you're going to make Escobar into something where he is going to further down the line be a predominant person to go after your NXT title, in the way they're trying to shape it up a bit, Devlin has to win this match and then bring it back, because they are heavily promoting a title match on the UK brand between Devlin and I can't remember the other talent off the top of my head because I've been so busy with work and all the shenanigans and stuff. Yes, I said shenanigans. That they've been promoting this match so heavily on the network and on BT Sports, because yes, I pay attention to all that stuff. I'm that crazy enough to do it. That would you want to take that opportunity of that type of a match where it's like one of those it's like one of those things where Matt Hardy had to lose weight to go after the cruiserweight title. This guy who's one of their talents is doing that from a very difficult weight to go after the cruiserweight title to give Devlin a challenger. This is a match where there's a lot of stakes. And if you take next week the title off Devlin and turn around and not have that match, isn't that for that person who's doing even more work than usual to get to that goal to face Devlin for the cruiserweight title an opportunity? You take away that person who works 10 times as hard, that opportunity away from him, and to put in the effort, losing the weight, hitting the gym, and all that stuff for this story, and Devlin all of a sudden loses his title. Are you going to have Escobar go across the pond and actually keep that match intact?
I mean, he could. I mean, if Devlin has to go back across, there's no reason that Escobar can't do it too. And as far as the number of titles, I don't necessarily think they need more than a kind of main title for the men, the women, and then a tag title, because that roster, as much as I admittedly, I don't watch it that much, that roster isn't super deep either. Like you don't have 50 guys on that roster. It's probably 20, 30 guys on a roster. So you don't have tons of people where you go, we need titles, because then when you have tons of titles, you also have a short pool of people that they can run through before it's like, okay, now what do we do? So
what about I think if Devlin wins here, I think the idea is to put on Ben Carter. And yes, I'm calling him Ben Carter because I don't like his new name. It's really bad.
What is the new one?
I don't know, but it's really, really bad. You know what it is? You know what I'm talking about, John, right?
Oh,
I don't
isn't it
know. I don't remember.
No, that's not LA. That's not Ben Carter.
I don't know what it is.
Ben Carter's UK.
I did see it, and it is trash, but I don't remember what it is. I was like, oh no, that's.
All right, hold on.
I think that's the idea is to build up Ben Carter to be the one to possibly, if Devlin wins, possibly be the one that defeats Devlin for the cruiserweight title. That's I think the idea behind. If it happens, I think that's what they want to push for Ben Carter to become the cruiserweight champion.
Well, and if you want,
and with Jordan Devlin, they positioned him before everything kind of went down as a main event player. So if anything, they take the title off of him and put him into the title picture again, I guess. I mean, depending on what happens with
Nathan
Walter.
Frazier
Yeah, it's so bad.
Yeah, that's awful.
with a Z. Frazier with a Z.
Well, and so I also
WWE, the land of different names.
and again, this is requiring like logical thought that I know doesn't always exist in the Fed, but if you're going to position Escobar to do bigger and better things, having him lose the cruiserweight title to and cruiserweight that you're planning to keep as a cruiserweight, like I don't know that sells that well. And while again they don't always do that very well, we did just see them do it very well with Bobby Lashley, him not losing the U.S. title, but then going, okay, I'm going to go after the main title. And, like he didn't have to lose to switch titles, and because that's not a good way to get him there.
Right.
Yeah, like my one real kind of counter to the idea of having the title go back to the UK is the fact that right now in NXT you've got the NXT roster and you've got the 205 Live roster. And I know there's a lot of cross connections there with it. But the fact is that if it's in the UK, it probably would just stay in the UK. And the problem is that you have a cruiserweight specific show, 205 Live, which for better or worse is still around and it's still a thing. And to have that show and not have the champion be there on a regular basis, because yes, restrictions are starting to go up, but there's still a lot of concern. I mean, Michael Keaton is going, maybe I won't be in the Flash movie after all because of all the stuff going on in the UK right now. The fact of the matter is we just don't know how I'm going to go. If the world was normal, I'd say sure, let it be in the UK, let guys over there be in the UK because you can easily get it back to the US. But we're just not in that state state of time yet. And I do hear the thing about Escobar being ready to go up another division, and it's just unfortunate that in wrestling fans' eyes, a light heavyweight or a cruiserweight division is not seen as big time or as important as a heavyweight division, and that does not start with WWE, because WCW was doing that way back in the 90s, because those guys would be told, hey, you're out there to be the car crash to have the action. And the few times that there would be guys in that division that would try to get moved up and try and get to that level, they would consistently be stomped down. You saw it with Jericho, you saw it with Benoit, you saw it with Eddie.
Stereo.
They had to they had to
great match WCW,
and they had to leave WCW and go to WWF to be able to get that chance. It's just, unfortunately, it's not how it is in the UFC, where you can have any weight division main event a card at any time, and you'll go months without seeing the heavyweight title itself defended. You'll see the flyweight and on the light heavyweight and all that stuff.
Yeah,
so I'll leave you guys with this point because, like I said, I gotta go, but I'll be back.
Oh yeah.
Sorry.
with popcorn, right?
And better than ever.
Enjoy your power.
Back and better than ever.
Back and better than ever. But I'll leave you with this: the last cruiserweight champion to main event Monday Night Raw was Enzo Amore.
Oh.
Yeah, that's true.
Ooh,
That's true.
yeah. Bye. I
do not
love,
say that name.
I love cruiserweight wrestling. I really, really do. It's very action packed. It's a lot of fun. If I was to pair with Drew Gulak and make 205 great, or whatever his whole shtick was of like for a better 205 Live.
Yeah.
What I would do is I would make the cruiserweight title a totally brand fluid title where it doesn't matter what show you're on, as long as you're under 205, you're eligible to participate in it. And then, but the title itself can only be defended on 205. So you get your cross-branded matches, and then it's, hey, on Raw, this dude wants this title, and he's calling out this person who's on SmackDown. The only way you get this match is because it's a title match for this division on this show. go watch 205 Live. Like if you were to do that, you could see that title to where the guys can bring it on Raw or SmackDown or NXT or wherever they're from, or even the UK, but say like, all right, you want to see my title match, kind of like a pay-per-view. You got to wait to that certain show. You can build those 205 cards off of that type of stuff. I think that would be awesome, but nobody cares. Nobody cares about cruiserweights the way that I do. So
yeah, I
So
think
you wouldn't have it defended on a takeover or a pay-per-view?
if you wanted to do it on a pay-per-view, then I'd be all for that. But like, it can't be defended on Raw. But like, the person who has it can go on Raw, and they probably don't compete in a match for it unless it's like something else. You got to storyline it to make sense. But as kind of a general rule, is that you don't traditionally see it defended on the main show because you're trying to draw over to the cruiserweight show.
Gotcha.
I feel like I should be having popcorn right now.
I think the problem with the cruiserweight division is that a lot of heavyweights now can do the moves that cruiserweights could do, that the cruiserweights did back 20, 30 years ago. So a lot of heavyweights do that. Like the guys like Seth Rollins, but I'll say this, guys like Seth Rollins, Finn Balor, some guys in there are like barely over 205 weight, barely over 200, or a little bit under 200. Like Finn Balor's under 200. If they were in WCW, they would be in the cruiserweight division.
Well, and a lot of the roster is under 205.
Yeah.
And that 205 mark, that is new. I believe the old title was 215.
Yeah.
So
I remember
like
Disco Inferno. Remember that when he tried to lose weight?
I don't like to talk about him, but like Seth Rollins is like 220 pounds. You can't kayfabe it down 5 pounds and go, Seth Rollins is your cruiserweight champion. If you were to do that properly, you'd get a lot of good content out of that. So, but again, nobody loves cruiserweights.
We'll keep going from there right now, considering we've already talked about NXT and all of my mini rant there for a little bit. So SmackDown was pretty good, like usual. The ending with Edge literally sitting on a chair and how their facial expressions and stuff was really good. I'm more looking forward to seeing this match, even though it's night 2, than anything else to see where they go. I liked Brian's idea in the story of how they should have Edge and Roman face each other the night 1. That would have been something interesting if they did pull that trigger to give everybody eyes as a main event for night 1, and then Brian and the winner on night 2. So Roman would literally have to pull double duty, which he says he's the king of, I guess. What did you guys think is the most important thing from Friday night?
Edge is not a heel, because what he says to Daniel Bryan, that promo about how it took him 11 years to come back to redeem himself to become champion again. He never lost. He's so passionate. Yeah, it might be a heel turn, but you know what? It's a justifiable heel turn because he's right. Daniel Bryan did weasel his way into it. He lost at Elimination Chamber. Maybe it's not fair how he lost, but he did lose. And at Fastlane, he also lost. He may got screwed a little bit of Fastlane, but he lost twice. Daniel Bryan should not be in this match. Edge has every right to be pissed off at Daniel Bryan. And I don't think Edge is going to win, but I hope Edge does win the title because he's justifiably right.
Can we change your tag on there from has dirt to freaking brand new
is dirt?
Wow.
Can we change it from has dirt to is dirt? That is terrible. That is terrible. So I completely disagree. Edge was acting like a whiny child. I'm cleaning it up compared to what Jeremy Lambert likes to say. But
Sean agrees with me.
It's fine. I mean, not everyone's going to agree on everything. It is whatever. But I look at it and go, Edge, Daniel Bryan is like 5'9", and Roman Reigns is like 6'5", 260 pounds. I understand that Daniel Bryan is a tactical technician, whatever. Yeah. Why do you care that he's getting a match at Fastlane? If he wins, he in theory is probably an easier win because physically. And if he doesn't, it's more damage on Roman Reigns. If anything, the whole lead up, he should have been saying, hey, do this, to like try to help Daniel Bryan like compete against Roman, but like secretly knowing like there's no way Daniel Bryan would beat him. And then if he does, whatever, you've got a unique story there too. they tried to make this a triple threat because they wanted to do that, because the three of them all together is a fun concept. But the way that they did it, they tried to be all complicated, and it really just got really messy, is all that really happened. I would have much rather seen a one-on-one match that leads to some kind of post-Mania drama, and then you can do your triple threat at SummerSlam. That's not what we're getting. I get why. That's fine. They made it really messy, though.
Do you think it's a possibility that at WrestleMania, all three of them? I know Roman's a heel, and he's getting booed by the fake crowds in the Thunderdome. But
It'll be a real crowd.
Is it? Yes, I would say that. You think it's possible all three of them are going to get a cheering crowd, not a booing crowd?
I think Brian.
I think I think in this standard, Roman's actually, if you want to use Marvel terms, I think he's the Punisher. He's like the anti.
People love this Roman, right?
Yeah.
People love this Roman.
Yeah.
I mean, or you could use it in a better way because of the fact that he's Deadpool. Like literally, you could hate for half the stuff he says, and then he looks to the side and tells you after the fourth wall where everything is. You know, he's that type of character.
And I think it's kind of weird too, the way that like WWE is trying to read this too, of like, you're trying to build this match to WrestleMania, having all three of them being kind of heelish, and like Roman's that heel where we're like, yeah, we know he's a heel, but like he's cool. We're not booing him.
Yeah.
You're going into a Mania where we have not had live crowds for WWE events for over a year.
Mm-hmm.
The people that are there are going to be like, heck yeah, this is wrestling. It's live. I get to see it. No matter who you put out there, they're going to be somewhat cheerful. Why not build Edge and Bryan both as baby faces into this, and Roman as the like heel that we still like? Because the crowd, I mean, also looking at who they are, Bryan, Edge, and Roman are three of the most popular people in wrestling's last 10, 15 years. You expect fans to boo them? No, it's not going to happen.
They did that with Randy Orton, Kurt Angle, and Rey Mysterio when Rey Mysterio became the champion.
But that wasn't coming off of a year of no fans in stadiums. Like that's a factor.
This is, I mean,
two faces in the heel at WrestleMania.
Yeah,
do that.
I mean, what I'm looking
Edge is
for
a better heel as a face, but
no,
right now, I'm looking keep him as a face.
What I'm looking forward to for this Mania more than anything are the crowd reactions, because it is really completely up in the air who's going to get what dumb reaction. Because right now, because the only event that's really had any kind of fans has been NXT, which is still getting drowned out by Thunderdome, or AEW in Daly's place, which sure, but what you're really getting are really the wrestlers and the talent that are right there around the ring. You're not really hearing the fans. This is going to be the first time where you're really going to clearly hear the fans, even if they only get half of the number that they said that they're going to allow. I think they're going to configure in some way where you are going to be able to hear the fans, and it's going to be so interesting to see who gets what reaction. Although I'll say this, if the best heel in the business gets a cheer, I'm going to flip out.
At least those guys are not teaming up in the tag team match, right? Like all the other.
I guess.
Let's just leave the Smackdown on a note that it's going to be one of those matches where it's going to be very brutal and very interesting. The one thing I want to touch on, considering we talked about Deadpool for a minor second when I said that, Matt Riddle breaking the fourth wall.
Yeah.
I think he did it. I think that was on purpose. I genuinely think that was on purpose.
I just thought it was like,
how they make him look dumb and then smart at the end. I don't like how they make him look dumb. I know it's like personality rise. He's like that in some way, but he's much smarter than how they exaggerate his personality. You know.
I think it's more interesting though that they're playing it off as him being not very intelligent, but you could tell by some of the stuff he is doing. He is very intelligent, so I'm looking forward to seeing where that goes. They could do a spin-off, like a lot of people are saying with RVD going into the Hall of Fame too, that they could do something like Cheech and Chong or something like that, but it would have to be something intelligent.
I cannot see them. I cannot see them actually doing it. Not for a PG audience.
Patrick Mason. Man, King Corbin? No.
God, please no.
It's a gimmick. He's
Oh,
just taking
Jesus.
Evan Wright's gimmick, which is what I did. I took Evan Wright's gimmick. So
Yeah,
Why is
you took
everybody
other
trademark
things
Evan
too.
Wright.
It should have been. You know what it should have been? It should have been an NXT call-up. Not somebody from SmackDown.
Why is there
What?
so much gimmick infringement in this community? Jeez.
No, it's continuing the gimmick. It's continuing it. That's all.
But what did you guys think of Raw overall, though? I thought the whole idea of hunting, well, obviously, but I'm saying I thought the idea of McIntyre going into the locker room and trying to say, hey, if you were me in my position, wouldn't you come after me and try to take my spot? Kind of idea. That's how it used to be. It used to be very cutthroat back in the old school. Back in my day with the whole WWE
When men were
Federation
men.
kind of idea. I mean,
Yeah.
just
It's a chosen one or something.
it was a good thing just putting it out there. And Braun standing up saying, as soon as I'm done with Shane, you'll know what I'm ready for you. Like, oh, here we go. They're already foreshadowing that stuff.
Dude, the Braun stuff. Oh,
But the idea of Ricochet actually in that whole segment standing up and says, you know who I am, you know what I'm about, and you know that if I wanted to go after you, I'd do it right in front of you and do it to you in that ring. And
that's the only best stuff about
how
Raw.
it
To be
happened.
honest with you, that's the only best stuff about Raw. But it's the Drew McIntyre stuff.
I mean, you got the whole thing, the Rhea match that they're announcing for next week's not going to make any sense. I mean, on the Go Home show, you're going to do it on the Go Home show. It don't make any sense.
I hate the interaction between Shayna Baszler and Rhea Ripley. Rhea Ripley should just come back to Shayna Baszler and say, I'm the one who took away your title from NXT, but I guess NXT is not canon.
That when Baszler came out, I, like Sean said on the review show, you lost like 5 minutes ago. Why are you trash talking anybody?
Mm-hmm.
And as you said, that's who beat Shayna for the NXT title. That's what launched Rhea as a superstar into what became a WrestleMania botch.
Yeah.
Like, why did she not go, are you really trash talking me? You just lost. And don't forget, I beat you. Like
twice because she pinned her out.
That's right.
War
I
Games.
forgot about that.
She got pinned at War Games and then on that NXT in December.
Baszler lost to Naomi. No disrespect to Naomi.
I don't think Baszler has ever beaten Rhea.
Well, for a second, while we keep talking about Rhea and who beat up who, hit that like button and subscribe, and leave a positive comment. Anything you guys like or anything you want to say, we take into consideration. And
they're going Sasha Banks, Bianca Belair road, right? They're going down that road too on Raw.
They're literally dismantling this women's division inch by inch. It's ridiculous.
Yeah, like it's they cannot seem to get away from having a champion involved in the tag division because Balor and Cross are doing it. We just got done with Bianca and Sasha doing it, and now they're doing this. And then we had Asuka and Charlotte earlier in the year.
The only one they haven't done is Io. They haven't done it with Io, which is
which makes sense though. Which makes sense. But Shayna Baszler and Nia Jax at times you see they have problems with each other. But that's the only one it works with. It's that group, that team. It only works with that team. Doesn't work with the champions. The single champions. It doesn't work with that. But it works with Nia Jax and Shayna Baszler very well.
But it only got put together because they were doing that before.
Yeah, it's true.
Yeah,
like
my God, man!
It's a mess.
They have to,
and then they added another title for the same.
I remember
division.
Shayna saying, well, hey, as much as I don't like Nia, like I like you, Bayley and Sasha less. So if I've got to team up with her to take your titles, that's what I'll do. Yeah, that's how that came about.
The friend of my enemy is my friend. It's just It's ridiculous because I'm getting to the point where I'm watching this stuff over and over again, and they're regurgitating the same formula over and over again, and it's like against hitting your head against the wall with something like a mallet or some
rinse,
shit.
repeat.
I mean, why are you going to do this? I mean, I'm just happy they didn't do this with Io though. And and don't get me wrong, having tag titles in NXT for the women, it's okay. But you just basically had these tag titles for the women that were supposed to, and I'm saying this, go back and forth, back and forth, back and forth between all three brands. Actually, let me just say, let's rephrase. They said all brands. And it never made it outside of the United States. If you're saying all brands, yes, I'm still riding that horse of NXT UK being part of a brand. But
yeah, go ahead.
But the thing is that how is it right to have these tag titles? We're not talking about the women's NXT tag titles right now. We're talking about these main titles being defended 3 times on NXT. You have one of your talent that won the Dusty Cup for the first time ever. Count on an interview with Sean Ross Sapp from Fightful. How many times it's been on NXT? And Dakota said 3. Yeah. How many times has it been on Raw and SmackDown, been defended, and had a match on there? More than 3. So you see there's a problem here, and that's why they had to introduce these titles. Now you just nullify it going between 3 brands. You nullified it just to 2. So you basically, if including the NXT UK, you basically cut in half your brands for 2 titles for women, just because of the fact that, Adam Pearce showed up and we just botched the shit out of this. So now we have to rectify it and retcon it and fix it.
I think and I don't disagree with the premise of what you're saying. The women's tag division is not deep enough because they keep splitting up every good tag team that they assemble. And when the tag titles were initially created, the tag division was very deep. The NXT women's tag division in the last 6 months or so was at one point getting pretty deep. It's thinned out a little bit recently, but that's what they do to the women's tag division. However, as to the point of like they never got to the UK, I think part of what had happened there is they wanted to initially establish them as Raw SmackDown kind of initially, just to give the credence to like these titles do matter, even though they booked them to not. And then they started to tease going into NXT with Bayley and Banks. And I think the discussion was to eventually get them on an NXT talent, and then you could go NXT to NXT UK. Because if you did Bayley and Banks against some random women's team from NXT UK, I don't know any, that's why I'm not giving you an example. But so if you were to say like Bayley and Banks are going to go up against these 2 NXT UK talent, nobody's ever going to buy that that's going to happen. But if it's NXT to NXT, then if a loss happens, whoa, look at these NXT or the main roster tag team women's champions are in the UK on this brand. That is a way to elevate somebody, to elevate that NXT UK brand. And then eventually they can come stateside and you can expose the talent that way. I think that's what they were about to do. And then the pandemic hit right as they were about to put it on an NXT title or on an NXT talent. And then that just kind of killed the whole thing. So,
but you get my point though, is that if you're going to announce a title that's saying it goes across all brands, make it valid to do so. You have that title that Shayna and Nia originally was created by the idea of Bayley and Banks pushing it further into existence for being defended in all brands. And NXT's 3, and then if you say all brands, all WWE brands, all 4 of them. Hell, if Evolve was still around, I'd say 5 of them. Evolve's an awesome product, by the way. Yes, I've been catching up watching old Evolve stuff while I'm on my days off instead of watching anime. I've gone through the entire series of Hunter versus Hunter, Hunter x Hunter. So yeah, but that's neither here nor there. But if you're going to have a title that goes through all brands, wouldn't you want to have it at least defended once across the pond before the pandemic? Well, I get what you're saying, Ray. Yeah. I really do, and I'm on board with that. But logically, you weren't really doing anything with those titles after a certain point. You were dismantling teams. So why not keep the Iconics? And then when they did it, if the pandemic never hit and they did a show in Australia, have a UK talent come there and make it something where it's Australia versus Britain. There's a lot of history there. And I'm not talking about sports entertainment. I'm talking about world history there.
Mm-hmm.
And you could build it up to something where it's built up to something where it's Britain versus this. It's like worlds collide like they did, but make it a lot more meaningful. And then you could have the Iconics beat the UK talent. You fix two problems with there. You have a UK talent for NXT to have the titles opportunity for that for the women's, and it stays on the main roster with the Iconics winning.
So
that was that would have solved everything. If that title was supposed to be originally just moving around, that's the problem. Make the belts make sense. I'm going to say something like Sean says, make wrestling make sense. Make these belts make sense. Make me feel like they need to be used.
Sure. And to your point of like, you need to get them on all four of those brands. And I don't mean to defend WWE when they have a lot of things that don't need defending.
I have to laugh about that. Thank you, Gene.
Yeah.
Get a mic.
So, I would have
He's too much of a coward to get a mic.
I would have loved to have seen the tag titles end up in NXT UK. I really would have. But
could you imagine?
Hold on. The plan, I think, was right after WrestleMania was that they were going to end up over there, and then the shutdown happens in March. They couldn't see a pandemic coming. So while I agree with your premise, I think in fairness to them, they had plans for, I think, May, getting them over there, and then pandemic hits in March. There's not a whole lot you can do there. So.
I mean, think about it. Like, can you picture Piper Niven's being a tag champion? She's awesome.
Very good. I love Piper Niven. She is very good. She did a match with Zelina that was fantastic.
And like the match she did with Kaylee Ray was great.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, have her go with Jenny and they go after the titles, and you have that would make sense. But now you just basically cut the snake, your snake that you have in your company, the four-headed snake, into half. And now the only title the only title after the pandemic that's going to go overseas is the NXT Women's UK title, women's tag titles. That's the only title that'll go over there. That's for women. Next thing you know, and I'm not against this. There's too many titles, obviously, but next thing you know, there's going to be an NXT North American Women's Champion, and
bring back the European Championship.
Yes, make something. God forsaken, make it have
make it a European title. Yeah, in Europe, because UK not just has British people, it has people from Germany all over the UK.
Mm-hmm.
Well, the UK is Scotland.
Have it make it sense. What I would call it is if they have the NXT UK, obviously the titles and stuff like that. Make it like an old school. Like you said, like a Welsh or Scottish championship. They have it like a regional champion in each one, defend it, or better yet, make it like a Northern Ireland title. There you go. There's your quandary to solve the British UK version of NXT to the North American title. Use it because you can't say the United Kingdom because, well, those belts are the United Kingdom. If you're going to do something off the set, Northern Ireland. Perfect.
Yeah,
but Thank you for my rant. I very tip the hat. Thanks.
I mean, Walter is
specific.
Is from where is he from?
Austria, I think.
Germany.
Austria. Yeah. Right. So he's not from the UK, and he's got the UK title. It's just that's just what they call it. But yeah,
it's NXT
having
UK
a European.
brand, so.
Yeah, but I mean, having a European title would make sense. Drew, I understand your thought when you say no more titles. I get that.
I agree. No more titles.
I understand that. I understand that. I'm just saying, if they were going to do one, having it be the European title would make sense. Or here's the thing: get rid of the 24/7 title and bring out the European title instead. You're getting rid of it. You're getting rid of a title at the same time you're adding a title. There you go.
This is where I wish JJ would pop in and hit me up and say, "Hey, I want to talk about this because it affects what he sees on that end too," or Joe Hobart. but
He
it's
doesn't watch
ridiculous.
UK.
The chubby chief, but
He doesn't watch NXT UK. He
No.
doesn't watch NXT. He doesn't watch WWE.
No,
I don't think
but
he watches wrestling.
He watches some Dynamite.
But you know what I mean, though. Just somebody who sees the ads and stuff, and how as somebody that perceives it. It's it's ridiculous. It's redundant. I'm getting really tired of it. We have all these titles, but women specific titles now. There are only 2 on NXT. You have the women's tag titles, both championship titles. And literally, if you count the UK title, there's 6 women's titles compared to how many men's? You're preaching on a higher end on your platform, the platform you created, saying you wanted equality for women and equality in general. Guess what? It's not equal. I'm a dude. I can actually see this. I was raised by my mom. I was in a high school shop with 32 girls that are awesome as hell if then, and they still are now. And I'm telling you straight out, they're still not the same. And that's how society is as a whole. But I'm saying in the title picture on this stuff, if you list at the list of the titles on their site, there's only 6 to probably 15.
But I don't think that adding more titles to the women's division is going to help anything.
I'm saying they need to take more down on the men's side to validate these titles a lot more. The universal title, I get you need a major title for one channel. You need like the big gold. Big gold was for SmackDown, the other one. And I get having an NXT title because of the fact that that's prevalent. I get the North American title. You need something that's intricate, but each show should only have 4 titles, and literally NXT UK has 3. There's 5. It's getting to the point where there's too many to count. And if you're saying you're so high on women equality and having great competition on this stuff, you're not keeping up your end of bargain, because a good example is Raw suffering.
Yeah. Well, I think unfortunately, I think the next time we're going to get a prominent women's title, probably going to be tag titles. It's dumb in AEW. That's probably going to be it. I don't see WWE adding anything, especially because WWE they have a big roster overall of women, but it's spread out across these 4 shows. Like, I pulled up a list of the current roster members on each brand, like Raw, SmackDown, NXT 205, and NXT UK, and there will be somewhere between 15 to 20 guys on each brand, not counting 205 Live because that's a weird thing. But the main, let's just take Raw, SmackDown, and NXT. 15 to 20 guys, and women are around 8 to 10, maybe 11, 12. There's just until you get the amount of women on each brand just about equal to the men, I don't think you can justify having there be more titles for that.
And then you have to use them too. That's the other problem.
Aaron could even hear because I ranted about that list, and that's what pissed me off about this list. It's not because of how it was created. It's not because of how it was done. It gives you the exact value of WWE looking at their current talent, how it gives you an inside glimpse to somebody who doesn't see from the outside, who doesn't watch the product or anything, just by names. If you take out all the inactive talent on that list and you keep Becky on that list due to pregnancy, it'd be recovery from pregnancy. Say it's a health thing, obviously. I'm telling you right now, Charlotte, they value Charlotte. Obviously, as clear as day, we can all see that as top 1. But you have, and the reason why I griped about Kaylee Ray being at 48 is because you would value somebody, even though they were shut down for a while, a champion that's hold that title. Let's say you take 2 months out of the whole equation, still well over 450, people days as champion. and you put her down at the lower tier of everything. So you validate your domestic product compared to your other product, but you're telling everybody in these Q5, all these conference calls for the finances saying that, well, you want to develop your brand into a global brand, that it is a global brand. Wouldn't you want that champion you have that you validate more a little higher?
I mean,
I think go ahead, Ray.
to be fair, and we discussed the list already, but like this is an all-time list, and I get it, the title reign's really long, but when it comes to like the titles themselves and the way that they're built, you do have to have the depth to have the divisions be stacked. And Anakin's going to get mad at me, but whatever. DGMC's comment about in a perfect world, you add titles to a division when said division is competently, if not perfectly, booked and handled. So yeah, about that.
By the way, Vincent, welcome to the show.
Yeah, hey, and I think that's the problem. Like, if we're going to get a more equal level of like men's and women's titles, we have to balance out the rosters to have that amount of talent be more equal. You have to balance out the amount of time. And while I agree that like taking some of the men's titles away would probably be a good move because they don't book any of the titles very well outside of like 2 or 3 of them, until they are booking titles better, all of the other stuff doesn't really make any differences. It doesn't improve anything. And I'd love to see it be improved, but you're not going to see any of these titles be prestigious to the point where any of us really care, to the point like, you know, Kaylee Ray being that low on that list. The reason why a show like NXT UK doesn't need more titles is because that's how the NXT UK titles tend to run, is they tend to be long reigns. Rhea Ripley held that same title for a long time. Toni Storm held it for a long time. The men's title, Pete Dunne held it for like over 500 days. Walter has beaten that record. And there really isn't anyone who looks like they're going to beat Walter anytime soon, until you have a level of competition where it's like our champions are jockeying positions all the time. We need another belt because this is so deep and so competitive. You don't have that because you go, yeah, he's been champ for 2 years. No one's going to unseat him anytime soon. Do you really need another title for that?
And that was the thing about Pete Dunne's reign. It was historic. There were some great matches, but he went a long time without facing anybody. Like a long time, because they didn't get NXT UK off the ground as quickly as they thought. Because the plan was supposed to be, you know, they had the tournament in that January. They crowned the champion. Tyler Bate is the first champion, and then UK was supposed to be up. Remember, by Evolution, there was a dark match at Evolution where I think Rhea defended the UK women's title against, I think, Dakota Kai. That never made air because the launch of NXT UK got delayed. So you had a whole chunk of time where Pete Dunne's got the title and he wasn't really appearing on WWE TV. He was still making appearances in the indies or on Progress or something. So yeah, there is something to be said about looking at the depth of the roster.
Yeah, but it also shows you how they validate and look at their talent, where you're supposedly have a developmental talent that's on TV for 2 hours every week that now has 2-night pay-per-view, that you need some of this talent that you have. I mean, Piper Piven in NXT, regular NXT, can you just see the matches you could have with her on there and just like have people go back and forth? Hell, I love Dakota Kai, her and Tegan. I'm literally like standout fans, but I think for just when Tegan gets back, I think it would be best for her to go to the UK to give her something, because how long jammed the regular roster is right now, and have her take the belt over Kaylee Ray and have her run and give Kaylee Ray an opportunity over here. Now that sounds the double-edged sword because I said it's log jammed here. Yes, it is log jammed here, but you also have the NXT the NXT tag titles where you could step her up instead of going boom straight up there. Something needs to be done. And in the long-term effect of everything, especially with all these moving parts now with all these shows and stuff like that switching. Sorry, my allergies are killing me. That it has to change, and regardless of the way it is, it's something has to move.
Well, and I think part of the issue too is like I said, I am a fan of Piper Niven. I've seen her stuff. I like her work. I think she's very good. But if you were to ask the traditional American wrestling fan, who is Piper Niven? They'd go, I don't know. If you were to say, who's Kaylee Ray? They'd go, yeah, she's over in UK, right? If you were to say, who's the NXT Women's Champion to most casual wrestling fans, they'd go, no idea. Rhea Ripley, Toni Storm, and Kaylee Ray's been champ for a long time. A lot of those casual fans don't pay attention to that brand. And so while
in the afternoon, it's not a
yeah,
good time.
yeah, and like, and again, I get it. That's you're dealing with
Well,
UK.
also, apparently, it doesn't air live on Peacock. Is that?
I don't know.
That's
But
what I heard because
the-
I think Kristen Ashley was going to try to watch it last week, and she said, "Wait, UK doesn't air live on Peacock," and it's some
UK
weird thing where there's a waiting period.
UK has Peacock though?
No, but I mean in the US,
No.
like instead of it airing at the normal time that it would in the US on Peacock, it apparently didn't air supposedly. So so that's another factor, which just goes to show, you know, if they're not going to bother having NXT UK air live on Peacock when it, you know, when it is on the network everywhere else, it's like, you know, that really shows just how much value WWE has. Yes, CPMC.
And
yes,
like to the point though of like getting those talent the national exposure. I don't think you put any of the NXT UK unless it's like Kaylee Ray with the title and you're going, look, this is a title match. That's why it's on the takeover. I think if you're bringing Piper Niven or someone stateside, you do them the favor of put them on NXT, not on a pay-per-view, because you don't like. Yes, it's a good exposure spot, but you want that first appearance to be like on, you know, unless it's a Walter level talent where like everybody knows Walter. So,
All
right, so
Toni Storm did have some American exposure on the main roster.
well, because she won the Mae Young Classic.
Yeah. So,
Yeah,
and to me, that's
won that on
different.
pay-per-view. She won that at
So,
Evolution.
so Mr. Aces Wild and the Beaver wanted to go at each other over that god awful title belt for New Japan.
My gosh. Yes. And Aaron can join us too. Have you seen the title, Aaron?
Title?
The new IWGP World Heavyweight title. Have you seen it?
No.
Oh wow. Okay.
I've seen some layovers of it. Like,
I heard about it. I heard about
the Cody one
now.
No, like it's a total redesign. So
yeah.
So if you don't know, they've had the IWGP Heavyweight and the Intercontinental title. They've been on the same champion for over a year, ever since Wrestle Kingdom last year. So they finally decided, we're going to retire both of those titles and create a brand new title to replace them. So 2 nights ago, Ibushi, who's the current champion, he, you know, that was last time he had both titles. They unveiled it this morning. It was like 5 o'clock in the morning,
Japan time though, so different.
Well, yeah. And the thing honestly has the rough outline design of the Divas title. Like no joke. And I am far from the only one. It is everywhere on Twitter. People are constantly saying, like, if you look it up and you look at the basic design, and you're like, oh, it's the Divas title. Now I also said it looks a lot like the logo used in my local hometown of Tulip Time, and I posted a picture of that on Twitter, which is just like, and it's you know, and there's some people that are saying, oh, people just don't like change and whatnot, and it's like the problem is, and it's like that may be a part of it, but
we didn't want new belts. That was the problem. We didn't want different belts,
and we didn't want to get rid of the old titles because it's a thing of how this is a brand new title. So the legacy of the IWGP title held by Omega, Okada, Lesnar, like all those people, you know, is gone.
Yep.
Not within their storyline.
Title. You're completely correct.
Within the New Japan narrative, it is both titles continuing. So like,
it's a different lineage.
And again, this is where it gets more complicated than it needs to be. They are trying to continue the lineage, but via one belt. So like, Ibushi is like the whatever number heavyweight champion, but he's also the like number whatever intercontinental champion.
Yeah.
So whenever he loses this title, the next person will become the next, and it will keep going that way.
I guess
And they're
so.
and they're going to
but-
have to somehow keep that lineage like that until
Yeah.
they realize this is stupid, and then probably have to messily split it too. It's a mess. And I liked the old titles, and
Yeah,
I'm not
it
one
looks
who's like,
good.
and I'm not one who's opposed to like update the titles to give it a new look, because you need that every once in a while.
Mhm.
But you have two titles that recently especially have held some pretty good prestige. Keep that going. Like, what's the incentive to do this? Like, I don't
And the
see
idea that-
what's the gain.
And the idea that people are saying, "Oh, people just don't like change." It's like when MVP debuted the new U.S. title, it was a universal praise. This looks awesome. Part of that may have been because the title design we'd had been around since 2003. So you're talking like 17 years of having the exact same title design, and literally the only difference being the W at the top changing from the stretch W to the network W. So maybe that but like there was people when Nakamura debuted the IC title, that was pretty split because there were some people
I didn't like it.
and I'm not a big fan of it either. There are people who liked it because it reminded them of a title from like Progress or Evolve, one of the two, I can't remember which. But then there's other people that were like, I really like the old design better, and I happen to be one of those. But I don't think this is just a matter of change. It also looks smaller. Like there's a picture of
does look
Ibushi,
pretty
and
small.
and he's got around his waist. It's not like the AEW women's title small, but it's like it's
pretty
like
close.
That's tiny.
it's maybe
Yeah.
30 to 45% bigger than that, but it still looks weird. But the design, and like it's supposed to harken back to this old crown design that the IWGP Heavyweight title had, but it doesn't look like a crown. I've also seen people say, "Why does it look like the Autobot symbol?" That one I don't get, but it looks like the Divas title.
Well, when I saw this, when DMGC I thought it was a Dragon Ball reference because I saw Bardock.
Oh,
so
no,
I don't
no.
really. No.
Warren
we're not
Hayes
going.
thing.
It's a Warren Hayes thing, because the guy that writes the previews for Raw and SmackDown, his name is like Michael Burdrick, so
Yeah.
that's what that is.
Anyways, so
I gotta get going.
Oh, so there is no heat. There's no freaking burial, and there is no popcorn tonight.
Well,
That rivalry's still going.
I didn't want to like tell the host the order of when to run stuff. I didn't know when my segment was.
Well, you can have your segment all to yourself because I'm out. Peace. Hashtag the Ace is Wild. Hashtag the champ has left the building.
Coward. Bye. He knew that we were getting the main event segment, and he ditched you. He ditched a main event segment for a
Can't handle the main
job.
event. Can't handle the main event.
Well, I mean, DMGC, yeah, Namek, yeah, thanks. Well, if I had merch, I'd buy it, but guess what? I'm still working on trying to get gifts for these guys too.
I think he's saying he has merch.
Oh, he does. Then get
You
on
have
the
merch?
mic, spit it.
He doesn't have a bike. He's too scared to get one.
No merch, not a mic.
I know, but a mic.
Merch.
I want him to come on. I want him to come on a show sometime with that on Warren Hayes show. But we always give him joke around with him about not having a mic. He's always at the Patreon hangouts without a mic and stuff.
Hey, it's okay. So we got to talk about the future of this show, obviously. And we hopefully John can get back and put his 2 cents in. NXT moving to Tuesday nights. How do you think that will affect, WWE in general? Obviously, they're getting a contract extension with this. Obviously, it's sending shockwaves throughout everybody in the community, obviously. And then we'll talk about here after that. But what do you think of, is this because of AEW? This is like almost like AEW saying, waving the flag saying we won. But
That's
do
what the
you
stands
think?
are saying.
But what do you think about the idea of having, essentially, even though we'll have an idea of what's going on like this, you literally have on a pay-per-view week, you have Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Friday. So you have a lot of programming heavy on a pay-per-view week. And then let's say they do Mania and Takeover 2 nights event. You know, you're going to have Tuesday, Wednesday Takeover, Monday, and then
Well, I think Takeover Wednesday,
Mania.
Thursday, isn't it?
No,
Takeover's
but
Wednesday, Thursday.
I'm saying after they switch to Tuesdays,
Oh,
you know, you're literally going to go heavy programming early because let's say SummerSlam. Oh, SummerSlam's 2 nights, just for example. They could
hope
pull
not.
it. No, but they could pull that way. What if, so you're going to say Saturday and Sunday, SummerSlam. Then you have Monday night right afterwards, NXT. And let's say they do another 2-night takeover. Oh, we're going to do Wednesday, Thursday. We're going to do Tuesday and Wednesday. And then you have AEW on Wednesday. And then you have Impact Thursday, SmackDown on that. That literally whole thing has now sent shockwaves throughout the entire community. But what do you think about NXT moving to Tuesdays? Do you think this is the white flag for WWE saying they couldn't hang with AEW on Wednesdays?
I don't, and maybe I'm overly optimistic, whatever, but I look at it as this is, whether they want to admit it or not, this is WWE's third tier against AEW's top tier. And to anyone who's paid any attention to me, I love AEW, I love WWE, I love New Japan, MLW, like Impact, all of it. But I don't look at it as a like waving a white flag. I look at it as your top should beat our number 3, and moving it to that old SmackDown slot makes sense for a variety of reasons, because it is the old SmackDown slot. So USA knows that night draws well. There's the whole issue of like trying to get hockey on Wednesday nights that I think, is that still happening?
I think so, yeah.
Okay. And as far as like the, what does it do down the line? I think for a lot of fans, it makes it easier to consume both, because like I know a lot of people have said, I try to watch both and it just gets too hard.
Mhm.
And so it'll make that a little bit easier. I think Impact immediately before it even gets announced going, yeah, we're moving to Thursday. I think that's smart because they're trying to keep an audience, and they put on a good show. Like it's on my other screen, but I like the fact that I get to watch wrestling 5 nights a week, and I'm kind of, messed up for feeling that way, but it is what it is. But I look at like the concern that you have with the takeovers and the SummerSlam and all the stuff of that precedent that gets set for 2-night pay-per-views. I don't really worry about that because I know they did not want to do Mania this year as a 2-night thing. I think it was, you're trying to draw in as big of a crowd as you can so they can say this 2-night event drew in 60,000 people to really bring people back out of the pandemic. And I think that narrative that they're trying to put out there, I think that is why you're doing that. And because again, your first show back with fans, if you were to try to do a 6-hour show, like nobody's ready for that. So, and as far as like the takeovers being 2 nights, I think that's trying to get one more test run with Peacock before you run Mania, because if anyone used Peacock for Fastlane, it did not work very well. If you do that second night on a takeover, it's hopefully we got the bugs out. Here's a check. You got one more little test run before you run 2 nights of WrestleMania on that, because you cannot have mistakes running through Peacock on WrestleMania, because that'll not go over well at all.
What do you think, Aaron?
Well, let's see. I want to say this: WWE screws Impact once again because Impact was on Fridays.
They're moving to Thursdays, though. They're moving to the open
I'm
night.
just saying, but in the past, Impact was on Fridays, and then WWE went to Fridays, and then Impact went to Tuesdays, and WWE is going to Tuesdays. You get the idea, right? But yeah, I like that. I like that week. I like the wrestling week. We got Raw, NXT, AEW Dynamite, Impact, SmackDown, and Well, NXT is the third branch show of WWE. Dynamite is the first branch show of AEW. It makes sense for them to move to Tuesdays. And if you know, AEW's been beating him in the ratings in terms of demographics and viewers and stuff. I really don't care about that. There's people like out there on the Twitter that do care about that and go overboard. But this is good for WWE, man. I'm gonna watch. And I agree with you about the Peacock stuff. I don't get Peacock because I'm in Canada, so I get the network here. But I heard about the issues about Peacock on Fastlane. If they have issues or WrestleMania week, yeah, people are gonna regret subscribing to Peacock for WWE.
Mm-hmm.
Well, for me, it doesn't matter to me because Comcast I get Peacock for free because of the fact that it's part of my cable bill anyways. So a lot of the stuff I can watch anyways at any point. Also, sometimes I'll cheat and watch YouTube anyway. So, I mean, get the highlights on that. But for me, more so, it's exciting for them to move to Tuesday nights. It's kind of, like I said in a tweet, that it's kind of a quandary for me because, and I'll explain everything in a second and stuff. And it's good to have, well, I wanted to wait for John to come back, but I know he's probably still working, doing that interview that he's doing with Love Wrestling. It's a quandary for me and an issue because I get it. A lot of people there's so many moving parts for shows in the community. Fightful's got stuff they have to figure out. And, I do here.
I think Fightful is having a show Tuesdays and Wednesdays with the NXT and AEW.
Yeah, they're working on that.
Yeah.
But I'm saying, like, for me, it's different because obviously Tim and Joel, and go check out that stuff. Go check out Joel Porter's Twitch. It's awesome. Go check out Tim's stuff. He has his own Twitch. And then go check out their show as of right now, Thursdays. They're moving over to Tuesdays at 7. And I got excited. I was like, yes, I'll be on. And then they're like, oh, yeah, and NXT's might be moving to Tuesday. So I'm like, because I those guys are awesome. And Pearl and Tim, they didn't, and I'll be honest, the podcast we did for the week my mom passed away for her anniversary for her birthday, they didn't have to do that. They literally just, they could have said no. But Joel's basically, and Tim, rightfully so, and I've been touting them, and they're doing an awesome job on their own end. And Pearl is literally like, everywhere, and he's a great guy, and I want nothing but the best. But now I have to be selfish enough to think about the longevity of this, how long it's going to last. I guess Aaron's buffering, or he dropped.
But we'll just chat.
But I need to figure out the longevity of this show. So especially with all these moving parts, and there he's back.
I don't know what the hell happened there.
With all these moving parts now, it's like I'll tell you reason why I picked Tuesdays too. It's just really difficult for me to figure out what to do. Let me read this real quick. It's something that I never thought I would have to go against, and it's Ron Patel's even said it best. Possibly 6 o'clock on Tuesdays or 6 o'clock Eastern. I mean, for one thing, I work till 6, and that's the thing. I can't be like, I'm opening and closing my store that I work at, my location. Every day I'm working. I work 50 hours a week. You do the math. I literally leave at 6. If I do the show at 7, I will literally be walking in the door 10 minutes before showtime. And to give it, and I'm going to take the fourth wall out of this. I'm throwing everything out. It's disrespectful to the people who are on with me, because it's like, well, I give it, what you guys don't know is there's times where I will give out the link for StreamYard, and that's why I'm glad Aaron and Ray are on still. 30 minutes, 40 minutes before the show, because they need to get set up. So let's say Ray already had everything set up at 6. He has that time. At least he has that link between when I send the link to when it's time for us to start. Enough time. It will be difficult to have that time to give that link to Ray if he gets home at the same time I do, has 10 minutes to spend with his wife, and then literally next thing you know, he can't come on as a guest because time constraints. I was raised to be respectful out of that, and it's kind of difficult. So that's the conundrum I'm in. Do I stay with the 8 o'clock time? Do I grin my teeth in it, go during NXT and do what Ray does at this point with Impact? Or do I bite the bullet and move the time slot and the day over to a different day and pray to God that people follow me for that?
I will say, regardless of what you do, if we're on in a weeknight, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, or Friday, that other screen will have wrestling on it, whatever the brand is. It's how it'll work for me. This is something that is supposed to be fun for you. That's supposed to be a way for you to decompress, for you to be able to just kick back and
it's
trash
therapeutic too.
For sure.
And the thing is, and full disclosure, we're going to take everything out. I'm just going to destroy the fourth wall in this show because why not?
We don't have a fourth wall here.
Yeah, we kind of do with the conversations we have between all of us. I picked Tuesday nights out of respect.
Sure.
Nobody was doing a Tuesday night show at that point. Oh, there you go, John. No one was doing, and I've even talked to John about this
popcorn.
too. That no one was doing a Tuesday night show a year ago, right?
Yeah. No, I don't.
Me and John have had conversations about there was no wrestling on Tuesday nights. Fightful didn't have a Tuesday night show. Warren didn't have a Tuesday night show. To me, that's all that mattered. Not because I'm going against Fightful, not against Warren. I wanted to establish this whole channel, this show, on its own merit and on its own basis. Now, yes, did Sean help me out? Did Rob help me out? Warren help me out? Yes, they did. They
all get help,
and we get all help, and they've helped me a lot. Rob and Sean more as of late because they basically steer me into the right directions. Warren does when I can get a hold of him, but it's just I thought, especially last year, like, let me pull it up. I mean, May 26th last year was like, my dates are right. It was a Tuesday night. So it made perfect sense. And that because of the fact that 3 days prior was the 1-year anniversary of my mom passing. When I tell people I do this show in honor of her, I do it in honor of her. It's therapeutic for me to talk to you guys. You guys are my friends and stuff. I would literally lay my life on for a lot of people in this community. But the thing is that Tuesday nights were out of respect. I could have been a dick and be like, no, I'm counter-programming against Warren. I don't care. I go against, no. I had to do what was best for me at that moment and pick Tuesday nights at this time slot because it made sense. Impact wasn't running on Tuesday nights. No wrestling on Tuesday nights. Everybody's decompressing. Everybody's coming home looking for something to watch.
Well, and I think that's kind of where you can, like, this is both a thing where I get you're like, oh man, what do I do? But this is also kind of a beautiful problem to have if you think about it, because a year ago,
is what it is. It is what it isn't.
A year ago, we didn't have wrestling 5 nights a week, and you can debate whether or not that's good or not. But like, we didn't.
I'm not saying it's a bad thing. I'm just saying,
right, no, and that's where I'm at too. Like, to me, I look at that and go, as much as some of the product needs vast improvements, the idea that wrestling is getting to a point where we can have it on 5 nights a week. There's all these different options for consuming additional content, like what we're doing right here. I think that that's one of those things where it's like, no matter what, you're probably going up against somebody. But if we look at it as going up against, you're always going to feel like, man, and this is, as you mentioned, this is supposed to be therapeutic for you. And I know that it has been for me. It is absolutely a highlight of my week getting to do this with you guys. And so whatever night of the week it's on.
Well, I mean, of course, considering the fact that on my birthday, you literally geeked out for about a half hour.
Oh my gosh.
But
it's just whatever ends up being the most mentally beneficial for you. If anyone else takes issue with that, I got to say that's their problem. I don't think anyone in the community of people that we associate with is going to go, oh, you're counter programming me. What a jerk. I don't see anybody that we communicate with heavily that does that.
Warren actually said on his podcast last week that when Anakin threw out that you were going to counter program him for Mania week,
what a jerk.
It's like he goes, throwback, that's awesome. Go, he can. Triple H, that's fine because it's only 1 week, but that impact, he's like, no, these people are all supportive of you, man, and they'll understand, and you can support them, and you can support them in other ways. I know for me personally, I don't always catch everything live based on my work schedule. So I give them a review on a podcast and I make sure to listen to their podcast.
No, but you still owe me a beer if I ever come that way.
you ever come this way? If you ever come down to South Bend?
I actually have been to South Bend. I took, how the train from Chicago goes to Boston?
Yeah.
It stops in South Bend.
Yeah, we're like one of the last 10 stops to Chicago. But yeah,
I was going Chicago to Boston from California. 3 days on a train.
I love doing this show, man. And if you guys move nights, we'll make it work. If you stay on Tuesdays, I'll be here. Like I said, I double booked myself today because I thought it was earlier in the day. That's my fault. But you know me, man. So you're never gonna make it.
Well, I kind of do, considering. By the way, if you ever on the Facebook side of things, check out Wicked Crazy Pinfalls Facebook group. 3 of the main people, 2 of the mods are right here sitting in front of you, and I'm trying.
I learned about that last week.
Yeah,
me too. But to tie a bow on it, you're never gonna make everybody.
It just
happy.
Abruptly just happened,
Yeah, you're not gonna make everybody happy with the pro, and everybody's scrambling, probably going, "Oh crap!" Tuesdays was my sweet spot. Thursdays was my sweet spot. They're all gonna, they might end up. So
if it was, why shatter ground? If that's a compliment,
what you gotta do, my guy.
But for me, especially doing 3 platforms too, I want to make sure everything's out and building the Twitch platform. If you guys are watching Twitch, follow the Twitch channel. Any little bit of watching you guys do, it'd be very appreciated. I want to do some stuff to give, instead of and I'll be honest, if this channel gets monetized, if the Twitch gets monetized or whatnot, right? I want to be able to, instead of entail that money like a lot of people do it to upgrade their equipment and stuff, I really don't care about upgrading my equipment anytime soon because it's running perfectly fine. I want to give back to you guys. So what I would do is just put the money towards getting, hoodies for people who are guests on the show. So if someone was on a stream, like me and John were doing a show on the Twitch side, just for, he wanted to do something on that, but he doesn't have a Twitch channel set up and does it on mine. I want to be able to turn around and give him hey, here's a sweatshirt. Thank you for taking your time to be on the show. Ray, here's this. I've gotten 3 jerseys coming. One's a bet jersey and 2 of them are for previous guests. I'm working on stuff to give back to you guys because of how much all this means. And I like 2 of them managed to grow out 2 beards at all tutorial levels. That is awesome. But
I shaved a couple weeks ago, so.
But I want to be able to have, give people opportunities and stuff. And for me, moving days, it's more so of trying to figure out what works best. Now, And that's not meaning what's best for me. It's best for this. And for me, I could try moving my schedule around and try to do something on Thursdays, and and I'd make it work. Trust me, I'd find a way to make it work. Hell, if I have to do what I do with Rob's show, and this is, like I said, we're not going behind the wall. I have my sister turn my laptop on the day if I'm working and I get out at 6 and Rob wants to do his show at 7. I have her turn it on with me and give her the passcode like literally 30 minutes beforehand. But at the end of the day, this is my baby. This is the one thing that made me want to do this. This is what is giving other people opportunities to go onto the new channel to start their own shows. I mean, it's very surreal, and it's like very, very emotional for me right now, because now I'm here and I have to think about what's best for this show for the next full year. I'm not looking at what's going to happen while we do the show on Tuesdays till we hit the 1 year. I'm thinking about what we need to do to get to that 1 year point and pass it to get to the second year.
Well, and I think the fact that is, you already have that set of like, you're going to go that long, that at least gives you kind of a test run to see like, does keeping it here work, or do I need to make a switch? And I think that's a good idea, just because you can test it out and see. So, you know, like I said, I'll end up having, instead of having Impact on the other screen, it'll be NXT instead. But to me, all well, it'll work.
I mean, Drew is right. I could rule the weekends and stuff, but the thing is that there's going to be some Saturdays where my friends are doing stuff. I need to be there. Like, I do have a goddaughter that was here running around today, and it was really, and I'm going to say this from my own personal sake, it's kind of cute watching a three-year-old turning 4, grabbing a microphone and started screaming at it like it's a hardcore rock mic.
Trust me, it's fun for you because you get to like
Let them
distance yourself later. When they're doing it 24/7 in your house, you're like, oh my gosh, please stop. Why did I do this?
Ray and I, man, 24/7. It's nuts.
It's life.
Dad's on wrestling. Me and Ray.
And on top of that, this whole thing, and Ray, you're awesome, and I say this all the time,
Thank you.
is that I can't do afternoons because I don't get out till 6. We're in transition at work because I'm the acting store manager right now, and we're redistricting in May, so that's why I have to see how things go.
Not to mention, if I start doing wrestling podcasts on the weekends, my wife will divorce me, and she'll be justified in doing so. So can't let that happen. I kind of need her around.
Wrestling Dictionary to get you divorced, huh?
Don't say that to him, please.
That's what it sounds
These two guys. And if Kevin's watching, Kevin's wife said that if wife or girlfriend or fiance or whatnot, that she's willing to do the women's round table whenever we get that squared away. So soon. I'm hoping next in May, because that would be a great achievement. Me and Aaron have actually talk about this, that it would be great to get that go off the ground, because if you think about it, it's always us talking about it. So it's always us talking about the same topics over again. It'd be nice to have a women's perspective, like the old saying goes, a women's touch, if you will, just to be able to see what they think on their end. But yeah, the show's livelihood is all depending on how we handle the next few weeks afterwards till we get to the 25th of May. And, you know, luckily I have my friends behind me who are here just to support and see where it goes. How was your interview, by the way, Johnny?
Oh, it was good, man. I hung out with Zach from Love Wrestling, and we talked about NWA Power that just aired earlier today. And
how was it?
It was good, man. I like NWA Power. I have a lot of fun watching that. I kind of missed it over the last. There's a certain name on there that we didn't talk about because he's, piece of crap. But we'll.
I think I know what you mean.
We'll talk all just the positive. My wife dropped her infamous comment on the stream and almost shut it down because
They didn't.
And wait, can you confirm this?
They didn't know the gimmick.
Can you confirm this? Is American, not American Alf, Chris Harris and James Storm are back?
No, they weren't on this episode.
On an Impact. James Storm and Chris Harris. What were they called? America's Most Wanted. America's Most Wanted.
Chris Sabin.
No,
Harris. I don't know.
They've been kind of teaming up a little bit because Alex Shelley's been out with an injury, but Storm was doing his 1000th Impact match against Eric Young, and it's the one where Eric Young, if you saw the report, Eric Young tore his ACL in this match. So, yeah, that's on tonight. I don't know if it aired already or not because I haven't been paying
Impact Twitter. I swear I saw Chris Harris in a picture of James Storm.
I talked about Tim Storm tonight because
Tim Storm.
Yeah, I started really getting into NWA like the 3-4 months leading into the pandemic, and then the pandemic killed it, and then they started doing Carneyland, and I really, really liked it, but they only got like 3-4 episodes in, and then they had to kill it because things happened, and that sucked because I was really digging it.
Scott Demore's Twitter.
But yeah, I was digging it because like I really, when I started watching the NWA stuff, I started getting really kind of drawn to the female roster that they had there because it was Allison Kay, Thunder Rosa,
Marty Bell.
Yeah, I mean they were really putting together a good product.
Good women's roster, solid women's roster. Melina is a huge guest.
I actually thought when it debuted back a few years ago on YouTube, I thought because it was Tuesdays, it was that and dark, and I thought, I'm gonna hate this NWA thing because it's just not what I'm used to. But I watch it and I can't look away. Like the simplicity of it,
very good.
The studio feel of it, it all just works, and it's a huge callback to the old.
You know what's faction work around NWA?
Exactly like
the Pinnacle.
NWA.
The Pinnacle would work well in the NWA.
Oh yeah.
I think they're perfectly slotted where they are.
They're both. I think both brands they're good at AEW, but I think they're perfect for Pinnacle because you could tell they're very horseman-like.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean that's by design too. But
yeah.
I think if they were ever to do an NWA crossover where
which you have
AEW, yeah, right? But if they were ever to do like AEW sends people over, I think that's one that would fit, and NWA would go, you're going to give us those guys, like for sure. I don't think you'll ever see that talent on NWA's TV unless they really strike some great deal.
So with the Pinnacle, okay. So we got MJF is technically pretty much the Ric Flair of the group, right? Not Dash. I was about to call them their Revival's names.
FTR, yeah.
FTR are basically the Andersons, Ole and Tully. So what's Sean Spears? Is he Sean Spears? Like
he's double S, man.
Oh, really?
He just is who he is.
Yeah. He's in a nick.
Well, and they're not necessarily a true
chairman.
Like they have Wardlow's with them. You know, Tully is with them. Like I think that four there is kind of your core that is your horsemen, but I think they are intentionally being different than just being a repeat by having those other couple of people.
I think Wardlow is the staying next to the group who eventually break up from the group, you know?
Yeah, does anybody feel bad for Wardlow? Like
no.
He's just like
not at all.
He's just like MJF's dude that he pays for, and it's like the dude. It's like, come on, like MJF always gets all these new shiny toys, and then Wardlow's like, "Oh, I'm in the back by myself."
So I
go back like, what's going on?
I just checked. He's barely 33. He just turned 33. He doesn't have a lot of in-ring time,
you're right.
But he's got a lot of good push to him. And do you watch BTE?
Yes, sometimes.
Yeah, when I can.
He's not on there regularly, but when he's on there, his spots are typically really good too. They're doing the slow, take your time with him. He's going to be somebody that eventually. I don't know if I want to compare him to Batista, but he's going to be that guy that in a couple of years you go, he was
Yeah.
with that group and he wasn't like a main fixture. Like, holy shit, how did that happen? So
That's why he's a Luger, possibly Sting. I don't know if he's got biggest
Yeah,
Luger or Sting ever,
somebody-
but he's that category. You know.
Somebody said Wardlow is Luger, and I hope not.
I mean,
the stuff that comes with that. Just
no.
I know what I'm talking about. Like
he's better in
but
the
he-
ring than Luger ever was.
Yeah,
but
he's
Luger was a great
he's
seller,
very
though.
good.
Luger was great at selling, though.
Yeah, but Luger
Wardlow's
can't
very
do
good.
half the stuff that Luger can do. Or
No.
Wardlow is a phenomenal in-ring talent for his size, in my opinion.
Yeah, he's very, very good.
But Luger did have Luger when he was getting beat up. That was the best thing because you always hear him grunt so loud.
That whole Luger run when he just went as the total package, I hated that so much.
All right, so why don't we wrap it up? We're doing pretty good in time. Want to thank everybody tonight watching. Even though John popped in and there was no popcorn, but
You don't want to oversaturate it.
You don't want to abuse it, but I've also had a really rough day where my basement kind of flooded, and I've been.
I'm sorry to hear that.
Like I had like this issue, and like so I scrambled to get here for these podcasts today, a little behind the curtains.
Fine.
And I was like, "Where's the popcorn tub?" And I was like, "Ah, crap, I forgot it." So, you know what? Stay tuned next week. Will the popcorn return? Will it not? You'll have to.
I mean, we already know that this feud. We already know this feud that with Anakin's not going to die. So
Anakin ditched out before I could call him out. So you not having your popcorn is appropriate.
Okay,
but
that's what it's for. And I'm still easily bought, guys. I'm still easily bought. I heard that you both got your stimmies, so we're on the even playing field. I mean, I was talking in the Warren Hayes Discord about how I love Taco Bell and Baja Blast, so I'm really not like expensive. I'm not.
Does this mean that you guys can help me with that belt? Yeah, that's a far reach. I'm not going to make anybody buy that thing. I'm going to do it on my own.
I still haven't gotten stimulated yet. I don't know what's going on here in the old South Bend area, but
then just go ask your wife so you can get stimulated.
Oh no! Oh no!
With that said,
anyways,
that's not a blue chew dig, man. But anyways, let's get right to it. John, where they can find you.
Well,
there's your main event right there.
Yeah, I was gonna say, like, depends on who you ask. No, you can find me. It says on the screen. I always screw this up. Wrestling Plug Inc. on Facebook and Instagram. On Twitter, we're just Wrestling Plug. I always just say all three, but also again the WordPress. I'd appreciate if you guys put that over. You know, go check out those independent spotlights. I've got about 85 of them up now with all sorts of great independent talent. You can also find me doing I'm going to start doing the podcast again. I've had a few weeks of it's been a rough couple of weeks with the holiday.
In the last one I did was with Drew, and it was awesome. It's just I need some between with all the work and stuff. It's kind of hard. But he's also you'll see if you're in the Facebook group on there, you'll see him post stuff on there. Aaron, where are they going to find you, my friend?
Also, real quick, shoot over to Love Wrestling and check those guys out. They do an awesome work over there with a lot of positivity. And check out the NWA Power spot I just did with Zach. So that'd be awesome if you could give that some love too.
Go ahead, Aaron.
So you can find me at Aaron Entertainment on YouTube. My Twitter is also Aaron J's Fan down below. So Aaron Entertainment on YouTube. Tomorrow I'm doing an MLB preview for the upcoming 2021 season at 2:00 before your listener boy. That's at 3:00 on Fightful. Friday, I'm doing Why We Love Sports. So I moved it up a day. And then pretty much all next week, there's going to be Monday is going to be all about wrestling. Tuesday's no show. Wednesday, I'm going to do a TakeOver Night 1 live stream. Thursday, TakeOver Night 2 live stream. I might do one of my pop culture shows that day on the same name. So I might do 2 live streams next Thursday. Friday, I might do Why We Love Sports. I'm not sure yet. I have to check my Blue Jays schedule. But on the weekend, the WrestleMania weekend, I'll be doing 2 streams on Saturday and 1 stream on Sunday. Because because on WrestleMania weekend, the Blue Jays game got moved to 7:00. So I could be doing a WrestleMania. I could doing a Love I Love Sports on April 10th and a WrestleMania prediction show for night 1 on that same day. And on Sunday, I'm gonna do a prediction show for night 2 after the Blue Jays game. So probably around 4 or 5 o'clock around there because Blue Jays play at 1:00 on Sunday. So yeah, you'll see on my StreamYard and you'll see on my schedule, man. I'll let you all know. It's gonna be a busy week.
Yeah, and the thing is that we here are. I don't know if Rob wants to do a watch along, but I think he's going to be wrapped up with Fightful. I'm going to cut back on doing watch alongs because with work, with Sundays with working on Monday, it's kind of a little difficult. And honestly, be real, like I said, Tara, I've been getting sick off and on here and there because of my allergies and other things. So, especially with running a 2-person crew at work, I'm the one who's certified to be underneath the car, and I have to run up and down a flight of stairs every 6 or 7 times per car. You can figure the math. 13 cars, figure that. So we will not be doing takeover watch along. We will do the Tuesday show and a Sunday show for maybe a late night Easter preview. And other than that, but it looks like Ray's still standing against Anakin. So I can call him the champ on that. So Ray, tell them where they can find you.
First of all, I'm always standing compared to Anakin. I created the OC. I invented that group. But you can find me on the Twitter at Angry Beavers or Angry Beaver 1127. Yes, inspired by the 90s cartoon show. We've never really addressed that.
I meant to ask. I was gonna ask.
Yeah, there's a whole long backstory that I prefer to just keep kayfabe just because it's fun for me. But that's
kayfabe.
the root
Well,
of
this is real.
Blur the lines. But you find me on Twitter at Angry Beaver 1127. I do lots of wrestling Twitter stuff. I do other Twitter stuff. And then I do prediction shows for Impact, AEW, and WWE pay-per-views. And since we have 4 nights of pay-per-views next week, I'll be producing some content. So give it a check out. Appreciate it. Also, Impact pay-per-view next week. So 5 shows. That's a lot of content.
You can also.
I thought they moved.
My wife just eye rolled at that 5 shows comment too.
No, Impact Africa show is going against WrestleMania Night 1 still, right?
I thought they moved.
What time is it still? 8:00?
I don't think they moved the date, but I think they moved it to like 3 in the afternoon on Saturday.
I thought they moved the date,
they moved Rebellion from
Rebellion
Saturday
got moved.
Sunday, but that's like end of April.
Okay.
So
yeah, I know Rebellion got moved.
Yeah,
hey,
which also bummed me out. But
pay-per-view is good for me, man. Afternoon shows are awesome.
It's way better than whatever the actual kickoff show will be, so I'm all about it.
There you go.
According to WrestleVotes, it may not be a kickoff matches on the kickoff show.
Good. We don't need it.
WrestleMania.
Well, it's going to be a busy week next week. Got a lot of thinking to do, and any comments, questions, or anything like that, even if you want to put your own 2 cents in the comment section about what we should do with this show because of NXT moving, would be appreciated. If you're watching on Twitch, do the same thing. Sunday, we're going to do a preview show of the week that's coming for wrestling. It's going to not be the hardcore show like this, but with everybody, but it might be just be me and somebody else and just sitting there talking about what we hope and see what's going to happen in the results. We're just going to be making picks up basically. Other than that, Tuesday still going to be the same thing. These guys are going to be back, and hopefully Anakin can stand on his 2 feet and not run away this time. So
yeah, he's a coward.
Not much love for him. Just he knows. He
didn't come home from work this time. Oh.
Is he driving?
Oh God, please no.
I still can't believe he did that.
The audio podcast is taking a break for a little while just to get through some stuff. It's not because I don't want to record. It's just with things going on with the main show. I think the main show needs to take precedent over recording the audio for a little bit because I have to focus on what to do with this, and on top of that, with all the other stuff. Anyways, check out Sisters Custom Designs. They do really good work for this for shows. They did. I'm still gonna tote them.
Dope.
Game used dirt.
They still do stuff for a lot of people, sell a lot of products. They did Denise Salcedo's shirt that Anakin sent. They made a shirt for me, which I appreciated. Go to their Facebook page, say Throwback sent you. Check out our Facebook page, Wicked Crazy Pinfalls on Facebook. You'll be able to see features from John from Wrestling Plunk Inc. You'll see stuff from Ray being popped in. Aaron's stuff gets popped in. Steven Jensen's gets popped in from time to time. Just do a good deed, pay it forward. Subscribe to the Twitch stream. Try to get that going. We got 10. We need at least another 40 more to get that achievement done on there. So I think it's funny how this whole thing looks like a video game. And then hit up the Twitter, Throwback978, and let's get this going. I mean, we are literally getting closer to the 50th show. So, I mean, you got to think about it, right? Out of all of the people so far, John, I think, has the most appearances on the show for a certain period of time because he was on there at the beginning. So
why am I not in the championship running?
That's fair. I'm not gonna take my own opportunities away, but man makes a good point.
No, John still has a shot at that title when I get it done.
So is the inauguration of that champion going to be a crazy anything goes ladder match, and it's just whoever grabs it? I think that's fair.
Let's just say this much: I already know who I want to be the champion. It doesn't mean it's going to be the champion. I already know. If it was me, I already knew who. Even though I'm doing this, I already know who I want to be the champion. If I had to hand pick a champion, I already know who I would pick in the community.
Keep it kayfabe.
Team Popcorn.
But the thing is, I'm not that type of person. You guys know that I'm not that type of person. So the person who I think deserves the opportunity for that title, for my pick, will get a shot. But then everybody else is going to go after that number one contendership. And then
AEW style. I like it.
So what will happen is that, and I wanted to say this and I wanted to do this at the 1 year because of the fact that someone on that show might be popping in and that one person will probably get told this, that with this opportunity, anybody in the community can get the shot at Jeremy Lambert, Joe Hobart, anybody. So you never know. It could be Jeremy Lambert versus Hannah. It could be anybody. But that one person I want to give that first opportunity is well-deserved person, has done a lot for this show over the time of the year, the show, and has done stuff behind the scenes of this show. So you're going to have to figure out, being amongst all of you, who that is. So even if you're just watching the show and just watch it in passing, go back and look at all the shows and try to figure out who it is.
I'll hire Leslie Nelson as a detective to figure out.
I'm cool just being the Britt Baker of the show, where it's like I don't need the belt, but I'm hella over.
But anyways,
I want the gold.
Do a good deed, pay it forward. Go check out these guys' stuff. Check out Drew's stuff too. Drew is an amazing guy, and it was great talking to him on the podcast that we did, the audio, and him being on the St. Patrick's Day show. Gonna try to get more people going, to try to get that women's all round table going. At least I have one person saying they would be interested in it. I'm gonna reach out to certain people and see if I can do that too. Even if you're just watching and you watch wrestling and you just want to have your 2 cents, you're a woman, you can more welcome to come on that show. More people are welcome at all times. Other than that, like I said, do a good deed, pay it forward. I'm taking over the whole rating on Twitch because Hannah's on, speaking of which, and she is playing SmackDown versus Raw. So guess what? We're gonna raid somebody who has been on the show.
Yeah, which one?
What,
That's
Hannah?
No,
Which-
which
SmackDown
year?
versus Raw.
06.
Oh, okay.
Okay. You can pass.
I
Yeah.
think you're pointing to. Oh no, Drew, no! Don't bring up bad memories.
So we're gonna raid over there. So go over there, go check our stuff out, Queen Hannah, and tell her Throwback sent you and say, hey, you need to come back on the show. I'm just kidding. Nobody's gonna do that, but you know, Hannah has always been great to me, and I
I saw your
appreciate it.
comment, Ray. You're just gonna hand the title off to Jeremy.
All right, guys. Well, I'll talk to you guys
Joel
later.
and
Have a good
Jeremy's
night. Bye,
Cap
guys.
will be pissed.